Pictures of long-gone relatives gradually get blurry. Jenna, George, and Laura Bush, all beaming. Afterwards, with Henry's wife and kids. As time goes forward, experiencing both happiness and sadness simultaneously. As quickly as we're rejoicing in a fresh start, we're confronted with a devastating conclusion. Regarding Jenna Bush Hager, who is well known on morning TV, the daughter of a president, and a lady whose kindness has affected millions. The reality hit like a ton of bricks as the joy of a pregnancy announcement was shattered by the news of a terrible death. Her intense feelings showed not just the vulnerability of loss, but also the strength of a woman who was determined to hold on to both her sadness and her optimism. An unexpected twist awaits Jenna's adventure, so be sure to stick around until the very end. Someone whose story may change the way we perceive our own hardships. Everyone thinks Jenna Bush Hager is full of life, energy, and fun when they meet her. She brings a joyful, infectious spirit to every morning as a co-host on Today with Hoda and Jenna. However, a loving wife and mother lies behind the scenes of the TV. Henry Hager's marriage strengthened her, and the joy of her 3 children filled her with unfathomable abundance. So, it was no surprise that her family was overjoyed to hear the news of another pregnancy. Her future was brighter than before, and she was beaming from ear to ear. But she had no idea that was about to put her to the test in ways she could never have anticipated. Imagining the first screams, the tiniest steps, and the joy that will fill a house is a common experience for pregnant women. It was the same for Jenna. The prospect of growing her family was met with unadulterated appreciation, and she frequently expressed her delight in parenting. A different plot, over which she had no say, was quietly developing while her loved ones got ready to celebrate. At a time of year when she had hoped for nothing but happiness, it would thrust her sorrow into the spotlight. Jenna was devastated by tragedy not long after she celebrated her pregnancy. Her world was broken by an unexpected, close, personal, and terrible death. It was cruelly timed. Even while her body was giving birth, her heart was still grieving an unimaginable loss. Later on, she confessed that she didn't really get why happiness and sadness had to coexist. Because this tragedy touched more than just Jenna. The plot thickens at this point. All members of her family, who were already accustomed to bearing heavy personal and civic responsibilities, were shaken by it. Famously strong and united, the Bush family was once again brought together in mourning. What was supposed to be a time of celebration turned into a background of funerals and farewells. Jenna, who was 6 months along in her pregnancy, grieved with her family at their side. Expecting a kid while bidding farewell to a loved one was an almost terrible dichotomy of her life. There were times when she would murmur, "life and death," while placing her palm on her belly, which she said she did. Both of them are currently inside of me. She gained fresh insight from this conundrum, which few could fathom. It was clear that Jenna was in a lot of pain when she spoke about her struggles. The feeling of joy at one heartbeat while sadness at another is harsh, she remarked. Who knew you could experience such a whirlwind of happiness and sadness at the same time? It wasn't only her tears. They mirrored an eternal reality. A large portion of her listeners had experienced stark disparities in their own lives. The happiness of a new kid mixed with the sadness of a parent's death, a birthday snuck up on someone in the midst of a sickness, or a wedding overshadowed by a funeral. Jenna provided those feelings a platform to shine through by telling her tale. Still, she wasn't done yet. In addition, she shared the things that motivated her. Jenna relied on her family throughout. Henry became her steadfast companion, providing her with the inner fortitude to endure the days of crushing loss. Every day, her lively and innocent children served as a reminder of the reason she had to persevere. George and Laura Bush, her parents, who had also experienced public grief, were steadfastly by her side. She was never alone in her grief. Her sister Barbara was there for her every step of the way. Even with love all around her, Jenna still felt torn between the realms of life and death, she confessed. Something unexpected occurred at the very moment that she felt her sorrow taking over. People all around the nation started sending Jenna letters, emails, and touching remarks as word of her situation got out. People she met shared their own tales with her, including those of grieving moms and families who had laid their loved ones to rest in anticipation of a new beginning. People who had experienced both happiness and sadness simultaneously. Words like that helped Jenna remember that she wasn't alone. The power I needed came from their stories, she remarked. Though it's heavy, they showed me that I don't have to bear my sorrow alone. Jenna Bush Hager is well known for her roles as a dynamic TV anchor, best-selling book, and Today with Hoda and Jenna co-host on NBC. Jennifer has always been open and honest with her followers, which has helped her gain a reputation for her infectious laughter, moving storytelling, and knack for connecting with people on a very personal level. Now, though, her candor has taken a tragic turn as she has shared the news that the joy of her pregnancy was shattered by the unfathomable grief of losing someone dear to her. Sadness replaced joy. Loved ones and admirers of Jenna's first broke the news of her pregnancy with jubilation. She felt like she was writing a wonderful new chapter in her life's tale with the prospect of her expanding family with Henry Hager. Unfortunately, Jenna had to deal with a terrible loss practically immediately after sharing her delight. She courageously confessed, her eyes watering, during a recent Today episode, "I never thought such sadness would cast a shadow over a happy occasion. Celebrating new life while grieving an indescribable loss has been an overwhelming mix." People all throughout the world could relate to her sincere confession. A devastating setback. Jenna has decided to keep the specifics of the unfortunate death under wraps, although she did say that it concerned a family member. The encounter was even more emotionally taxing because of how near it came to her pregnancy announcement. "It feels surreal," she whispered. "Suddenly, we went from looking forward to the future to lamenting the things we had lost." Jenna looked devastated by the paradox of being a mother while mourning the loss of another. Supporters react with care. An outpouring of fan support ensued shortly after the touching part. Hashtags like #prayers for Jenna and #stay strong Jenna were trending within hours, flooding social media with words of condolence and support. "Jenna, your courage in telling us this is motivating," one supporter remarked. "You are in our hearts," we say. "Experiencing this kind of loss while pregnant is unimaginable," another person said. Feelings of warmth and support extended to you and your loved ones. Unity in the family. A person's family has always been a rock for Jenna. Her life has been shrouded in secrecy since she is the daughter of Laura Bush and George W. Bush, the former president of the United States. However, she has always stressed the significance of familial ties. Everything is the same this time. Her parents, sister Barbara Bush, and husband Henry have been her rock-solid supporters, according to many close to her. In her lowest moments, her little children have shown a light. "They serve as a constant reminder to me that love can triumph over tragedy," Jenna revealed, shattering the silence on loss. The candor with which Jenna discusses her loss is what gives her emotional revelation its power. Many expectant mothers deal with their own unique set of challenges, but few feel comfortable talking about them openly. Jenna has allowed innumerable people to accept their suffering by doing so. When we're supposed to be joyful, it's easy to mask our pain. The thing is, life isn't simple. She argued that happiness and sadness are not mutually exclusive. Her vulnerability made her personal journey more relatable and gave others going through tough times a place to feel safe enough to open out. Conflict and its emotional impact. Human emotion is complicated, as seen by the collision of happy pregnancy news and terrible death. Even though her heart is heavy with sadness, Jenna often feels terrible for celebrating her baby. "At times, I find myself laughing, but then I recall, and tears well up in my eyes. I never anticipated it to be such a wild ride." Many viewers could relate to the paradoxes she described. They, too, have experienced the unexpected collision of joy and sorrow. A word of encouragement, Jenna concluded her piece with a hopeful message. Even though she was crying, joy can't take away sadness, and sadness can't take away joy. Both can live side by side. "Despite my sorrow, I refuse to give up hope for what's to come, for my loved ones, my offspring, and the life I'm carrying inside me." Resilience, in her view, is not a choice to ignore suffering but rather to forge forth in the face of adversity, whether it be love or loss. Last remarks. Tragically, Jenna Bush Hager's reaction to the news of her pregnancy and her father's death has reduced her followers to tears. Tragedies can strike at any time, even in the most joyful of times, as her fragility made clear to the world. However, by courageously recounting her experience, she transformed her personal suffering into a powerful call for unity and optimism. Jenna is supported by her loved ones, co-workers, and fans as she continues her path, and she has the strength to face both happiness and sadness side by side. Life is a symphony of ups and downs, joy and sorrow, new beginnings and farewells, and her story is a potent reminder of that. And yet, hope persists despite everything.